Hello friends, and welcome to Leadership Evolution. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a way that you can come up with a set of core values for yourself so that you can come home to your own purpose, to your own essence, whenever you feel off balance throughout the day. In this series of videos, we're talking about you, how you can develop yourself into the kind of leader that you want to be in the future. Leadership is not all about what you do in front of a crowd of people. Almost all of leadership is developed in private, in secret, inside of yourself, so that you can be something or someone in front of the crowd of people. On your way to leadership, I want you to be the best leader that you can possibly be, but you first have to establish yourself. I see people all the time graduate from college or high school or a trade school or whatever, and they want to be a leader and they want to make a splash, so they get into their job and they spend a lot of time and work and effort in that job, understanding it, becoming an expert, and trying to make as much money as they can, and trying to climb the ladder of success. And a lot of people do that without ever having taken the time to understand who they are as a person, and what their purpose is, and what their genius is, and what their core values are, and from what personal core they're going to lead. And a lot of those people end up in their midlife trying to rebuild a career that they lost, trying to rebuild a relationship that's been broken, trying to pick up the pieces of something that was shattered along the way because they never figured out who they were. They weren't tethered to the reality of their own person. And I'm speaking from experience here. Many good people have to start over, reinvent themselves, find new love, build a new and completely different career, and clean up messes that they themselves created. And I don't want that for you. And so today we're going to talk about how you can establish some core values for yourself that will bring you home and help reestablish you whenever you feel off. Now, I'll put a link in the description below, but in a previous video, we talked about how you can find your purpose. Your purpose is your center. Your center is your home. And when you find your purpose, you found the center of your existence. And it's there that you find peace and joy and fulfillment and satisfaction and all the things that you're searching for in life. Your purpose is where you are most yourself, free from external pressure or influence. In other words, it's home. Pay special attention to the things that want to take you away from home. Remember when you were a kid and your mom was constantly reminding you of all the things that were dangerous and could take you away from home? My mom used to caution me against strangers, panel vans, staying out past nightfall, straying away from her sight. In her view, all of those things were capable of taking me away from her, taking me away from home, and I was supposed to avoid that at all costs. Now, friends, every day, things can happen that want to take you away from your purpose, away from your home, away from your center, and who you really are. For example, pressure at work can cause you to act in ways that don't match who you really are at your core. Maybe you get angry and lash out at a coworker. Maybe you turn in a project that you know isn't your best work. Or more seriously, you might cut ethical corners in order to meet your goals. Have you ever done something and later exclaimed, "How could I have been so stupid?" I know I have. And that's you wanting to get back home to who you really are. Now, there are many ways to lose your sense of purpose throughout the day. And unfortunately, when one thing throws you off center, other things can easily happen. That's why it's important throughout the day to check in with yourself and know when you're off center, know when you're feeling a little bit off. And for most people, that's a feeling that they don't like about themselves, like being disgusted or irritable or ashamed, a vague feeling of unfulfillment, anxiety, a feeling of being unfocused or distracted. These are all cues to show you that you're off center. So the question that I want to address in this video is, when you do feel like you're off center, what can you do about it? What can you do to come back home to yourself, to your integrity, to your essence, to your core? Now, I found that whenever I feel off throughout the day, there are certain pathways that can lead me back to my center. And those pathways are my core values. These core values are like well-traveled roads that lead me back to my purpose. The very name core value says it all. It's an essential statement that comes from your core and can lead you back to your core whenever it's necessary. And just as there are things that can take you away from your center, there are things that can bring you back as well. What are those things for you? What are the actions, attitudes, or behaviors that you know will take you back home whenever you feel off throughout the day? Those are your core values. So here's an exercise in how you can create some core values for yourself. There are 3 questions you need to ask. Number 1, what is my purpose? Number 2, what has to happen so that I can fulfill that purpose? And number 3, therefore, what must I do? So let's unpack that a little bit. Number 1, what is your purpose? Let's say, for example, that your purpose is to organize and make sense of things so that people feel good about themselves. Question number 2 is, what must happen so that I can fulfill this purpose? What attitudes and mindsets do I have to have? What do I have to do? Who do I have to be in order for this purpose to take place? So again, back to our example, if your purpose is to organize and make sense of things so people feel good about themselves, ask yourself, what are the things that have to happen so that I can fulfill this purpose? And you might start to write down, well, my own mind and my own spirit has to be centered and uncluttered. What else must happen so that I can fulfill this purpose? Maybe I write down that I have to notice wherever disorganization occurs. Maybe I write down that I understand the effects on somebody else when they're disorganized. What else has to happen so that I can fulfill this purpose? Maybe I have to just organize. Make a list. Make a list of things that have to happen so that you can fulfill this purpose. And that leads to question number 3. Therefore, what must I do? And here's what I want you to do. Next to the list of things that you wrote down that have to happen so that you can fulfill your purpose, I want you at the very end of each item, write down the word therefore, ... And I want you to ask the question, what must I do? So back to our example. If your purpose is to organize and make sense of things so that other people can feel good about themselves, and you know that your own mind and your own spirit must be centered and uncluttered, therefore, I must meditate and exercise every day. Do you see the connection? So write down the word therefore at the end of each sentence and answer the question, what must I do? Now, I want you to notice that after the word therefore comes a statement that is a core value for you. This is your list of core values. These are the pathways that you can actually do throughout the day that will lead you back to your purpose and back to your center, back to your core whenever you feel off, whenever you feel dissatisfied, whenever you feel like something's missing throughout the day. These little statements that you just wrote after the word therefore are your core values. They're what you do regularly in order to stay centered. And if you think of your purpose as the hub in a multi-spoked wheel, it is your center. It's where you want to live. And you can think of your core values as the spokes that come out of that hub. Those spokes are the way for you to live out your purpose. Those spokes are also the pathway that you can use to bring yourself back to your purpose whenever you feel off. Now, don't make the list too long. Each thing that you write after the word therefore should be meaningful and poignant to you. I also want you to notice that even though all of these core value statements that you made seem like they're outward facing, in other words, you're doing them for other people or you're doing them for your career, job, company that you work for, you're doing them for your community, you're doing them for your world, I want you to understand that your core values are mostly for you. You do them for you. You do them so that you can stay centered, so that you can be on purpose. Other people will benefit from it, for sure. But the one that benefits the most from this is you. When you feel off, run back to your core values. They are the gravitational force that will pull you back to your center. If you neglect your core values throughout the day, you will always be searching. If you act on your core values in a very intentional way every day, you will feel centered and fulfilled, and your leadership potential will grow exponentially. And that's what I want for you. If this video has been helpful to you, I hope that you'll like and subscribe to the Leadership Evolution. That helps the channel to grow, and I really appreciate that. If you have any questions or additions, I hope that you'll add that to the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back to each one of them as they come. Thank you for watching Leadership Evolution, and as always, I hope that you'll keep evolving.